this feeling for Rotherham United?
Wood's got around the back, and Richie Wood has done it again! It's done! It's Georgie Kelly!
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Thank you all for being with us today. We're going to look sort of back to Tuesday night. There's not really a lot to talk about, to be honest with you. Unless you want to get angry, then there's loads to talk about. We'll see where we want to go. And then we can look ahead to the game that actually does matter, with Exeter coming to New York Stadium, what feels like one of the few home games we've had this season. But we'll come on to that in just a bit. Mick's with us first of all. How's it going, Mick?
All good, mate. Thank you. Are you?
Yeah, very, very good. Tom's back. How's it going, Tom?
Yeah, good. Tried to lay low since the start of the season, but here I am.
Tried to lay low. The only episode you've done so far is the instant reaction, where we spent about 20 minutes crying about the Cardiff game, to be fair.
Yep. It's all positive news. It's all positive news.
And Danny's back. How's it going, Danny?
Going good. Back-to-back shows for me. There's a first time for everything this season. I don't know how I've managed to get a Sunday and a Thursday off work, but here we are.
Podcasting gods are shining on you tonight, Danny.
Exactly.
That's what it is. YouTube user is with us, as is Martin Hall and Sarah Ogden, Steve, Chris Page. Which says evening all, hard to watch at the moment. Nick Newson says good evening. Dave Lawrence says evening all. Are we really going to get a few players back fit? Spoiler, we might do. Chris Taylor with us, as is Steve Gauntly. Paul Rhodes says evening. Burton fixture on the move again. Yeah, it's the third different date for the Burton game. It might change again, so we'll maybe just talk about that when it actually changes again. We'll go from there. Mick, let's just all have a quick chat on the Bolton game. Sorry, I'll be honest with you, I have zero opinion on it. To be honest, we changed it changed the team within an inch of its life. The people who came in didn't put a hand up for a performance for a start. Bolton had a stronger team, and Bolton won the game. That's me.
Yeah, it's a pretty fair assessment, isn't it? I think there were no real standout performances. There were no real poor performances, particularly. It was just a bit poor and a bit meh overall, really, weren't it? It's the worrying part about it is the lack of cutting edge.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem to matter what personnel we employ. We don't seem to be able to create anything at the moment. I accept that it's not helped by constantly changing the team. I don't think I am pretty sure we won't have named an unchanged side at all yet this season. It's a bit of a worry that. But yeah, it was a crap game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely was. For the second half was slightly better. Candid okay. Yeah, Ted Can's the one that comes out with any sort of positives. Danny, he made a double save kind of thing. His kicking was fine. He's still not going to play because Cam Dawson's still number one. So the guy that didn't really matter whether he had a good game or not was the one that kind of had a good game.
Yeah, some players definitely gave a good account of themselves, but not a good enough account to go straight into the first team and uproot any trees. They've certainly done well, just not overly exceeded, if that makes sense. Like with Ted Can, he pulled off the double save. I thought it was just a good goalkeeper for the game at hand. I don't think it was at fault for Bolton's goal because there was no way was saving that. It were right in the top bins. But at the same time, Dawson has got the experience in league football. You know, like we said on the last show, he's just a nice League One goalkeeper. And I don't think we're at the point in the season where we have to take a risk changing Dawson unless he gets injured. So I think Hampshire will just stick with Dawson. As much as I did like Ted Can and see him get a run out, he's just not where we need him to be to go straight into the first team. You know, all right, he's better than Dylan Phillips, fair enough, but Phillips was still an established, at bare minimum, League One goalkeeper last season. But Ted Can hasn't took those steps yet, should I say?
No, I agree. Harry says, can he get into the side ahead of Dawson? Which I like.
Hey, sure he did there.
Very good. Nick Newsom says, Can did well, as with Baptiste. Paul Davies gives Hugo a generous 3. Yeah, let's touch on Baptiste, though, Tom, because he obviously played briefly against Donny, but in a time in the game where you couldn't really reflect on him properly. But I thought it was quietly decent against Bolton. Again, after the red card, he had nothing to do, basically. But I thought we defended okay in general, and he was kind of heart of everything defensively.
Yeah, no, he did all right, didn't he? His recovery pace was pretty evident at one point when, I mean, the three at the back, we can get into it later, but if Jules stepped up and somehow there was a big gap, and his recovery pace was pretty on point, and he seems comfortable on the ball. He seems like he can do a job in the air. So he's a centre half that looked pretty good. I mean, lack of experience is the only thing that lets him down, but you're all about giving youngsters a chance. He was, alongside Can, probably the only two players that looked League One quality, you can even say Football League quality. The rest were pretty dire, unfortunately. He was good, and 21 yet to really play. He could be him, Holmes, and Agbear could be a really good back three if all fit and firing.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Let's just touch on the red card, because this was hilariously defended by the commentator and some Bolton fans. I mean, the commentator had a stinker, to be honest. But anyway, we'll maybe not go on to that. Could anybody justify a reason why it wasn't a red card? Because it was just nailed on for me.
There's no way on this earth that could have been anything other than a red card. And I mean, genuinely, if you don't think that's a red card, football is definitely not the game for you, is it? I mean, come on. He studs up over the ball. I don't know what else you need. It was absolutely nailed on. So, you can't argue that one. Cannot argue that. I'm not. I mean, some of these things can be down to opinion. Is it a foul, isn't it a foul, etc., etc. There can't possibly be any argument on that at all. Nailed on.
Yeah. I think when you tackle like that, you have to get some of the ball for a standard chance. Even if you get the ball, you could still argue it's a red card because I went in. But you have to get some of the ball, and it was just nowhere near.
He jumps into the challenge. Even if he gets the whole of the ball, it's still a yellow card for uncontrolled and dangerous challenge. But the fact he just completely takes out Rafferty, it's a blatant red card. He's off the ground, uncontrolled, jumps into the challenge. It's a red card all day long. If he'd have made more contact with Rafferty, that could have been a broken ankle, took his knee out, anything. He's lucky he just clipped him, to be fair, and we've still got Rafferty, because that would have been another injury that we've got. But I think the person who comes out of that challenge luckiest is Rafferty not to be seriously injured. But it's a red card. Anyone who says it's not a red card, it's like, at least glance at the rules of the game. You cannot jump into a challenge both one or two-footed. You have to be controlled, and it has to be a slide challenge along the floor.
Yeah, I agree. Adam Firth, the commentator, was willing to give a referee for a pen for a great tackle by Kelly. Kelly won ball brilliantly, and he's trying. It's a penalty. He must be a Bolton fan.
Is he? He's a match of the day commentator, wasn't he?
He is, yeah. I know the voice anyway.
Yeah, I thought he was, which was surprised me even more.
To be fair, he's been watching Premier League football, then, hasn't he? Which is not football as such, is it? So, any contact is a penalty or a foul or whatever. He made contact. It's got to be a penalty. He made contact.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Because Dango worries me. He's got little man syndrome and wants to argue with everybody. I'll be honest, I didn't mind that for the red card. Where Dango is just pushing everybody and shouting at me. I want that little bit of fight, a little bit of battle, because his football at the minute is really struggling. So he needs something to make his mark. And when he's essentially standing up for his mate, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, likewise. And I think the only thing is that if you do that and you don't do anything else on the pitch, I think that's where people have concerns with. And as of right now, that's where he's at. He's trying and he's grafting, but his football isn't quite there. But I think you need those players in your squad who are gonna, your 20-year-old dads who are gonna fight for every ball and sort of really just try and amp the team up, I guess. Because that squad, and I mean no, like insult to any of them when I say this, but it lacks so many leaders, it lacks so many warriors, it lacks battlers, and you can see that on the pitch when things aren't going their way. If we're 1-0 down, I know Hamshaw said in an interview that if we're 1-0 down, we don't have the strike force to come back. I don't think we have the willpower to come back. If we go a goal or two down, there's just a lack of mentality there to actually fight back for anything, and they seem to roll over relatively easy. So look, if Dan Gore goes around shoving everyone, punching everyone, maybe that's a bit too far. But if he's showing a bit of fight and a bit of passion for his teammates and wanting to win a game, then I've got no issues with that. The only thing I would say is that if he can get his football back to where we know it can be first, then do that side of the game. Then that works so much better in my opinion. But he's a player who, I mean, we saw, a couple of occasions last season where he can be the best player on the pitch, and he's not yet come to that fruition. So, it's only a matter of time until he does. He works hard enough, and he's definitely got that technical ability. We just need to get it out of him, and whether that's changing formation or style of play to play through him, then who knows? But there's definitely, a chance for a goal there.
Yeah, I agree. Is there any positives anyone wants to pick out from the Bolton game? It was just one of those. It was what has now become a classic Virtue Trophy game, really. There was just nothing to talk about. And we beat Mansfield 2-0 last year, and there was a red card, and that there still wasn't really much to cover and talk about, and obviously this time we've lost. Has anybody got anything you want to bring up from that particular game to kill some time?
It's really hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
50 plus supporters, I think that's I don't know. Can we come in a taxi? I don't know. I don't know. What can we say? Nobody particularly enjoys this competition, do they? Particularly at this stage.
In this format?
Yeah, well, yeah, arguably in any format, to be fair.
Well, when there was knockout, when it was pure knockout, there was a jeopardy behind it, weren't there?
I suppose, yeah, but yeah, it's a tedious opening to any a competition of any kind. This, and it always has been, but. We've got. The positives are we've got some minutes into some legs.
Yeah.
So the lad that came on, Kane Richardson, I thought looked quite tidy, quite handy. It looks like he's going to be a player who's willing to drive at defences. I didn't realise he was a left back, to be honest. I don't know whether he is.
No, I didn't. Well, he's gone on loan now, so we'll find out.
Yeah.
His loan club.
So he looked positive. I thought the lad whose name now escapes me, I want to call him James, and it's not James, is it?
Clark. It is James Clark. You are right.
He looked a little bit lost.
Yeah, I agree.
I know he started and he played. Did he play all the game? I certainly played most of the bulk of the game. I think it felt a little bit too much for him, to be honest with you. So that was a bit of a disappointment. But yeah, it's poor performance overall.
Do you want to say a positive is that we changed to a back four in the second half and it got better?
Yeah, we put some pressure on in the last few minutes, didn't we? Last 10 or so minutes. Yeah. And had we been able to get a decent delivery into the box, we might have been a bit luckier, but we couldn't even manage that, could we?
Yeah.
No, it's not just a Joe Powell thing then. Nick News says disappointing on the commentator didn't call Jordan Hugill.
That's
with the actual correct pronunciation.
For what it's worth, Nick, I called him Hugill
all night
while I was watching it all night. Yeah.
Bet your wife was buzzing about
that. She loved it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Me and Danny were here on deadline day. You two weren't, Tom. So let's just get your thoughts on Thomas Holmes coming in on loan until the end of the season from Luton. If he's fit, he should be a good acquisition.
Yeah, and if you listen to his interview, it's actually really kind of makes sense why he didn't really pick up with Luton. I don't think he's a technical player, and that's not something that we need at the minute. He said that he as soon as he got to Luton, he broke his back or something, or fractured his back. I don't know. He did something to his back as soon as he got there. So he's been he's on and off with injuries, but look, he's made over 100 appearances in the Championship. He was Reading captain whilst they were in the Championship. He was, he's a head it and kick it player. Let's not beat around the bush with that. But he plays in back threes and back fours. He's played right back before. He's played centre back. He's played on the right side. He's a versatile defender, and you know what you get with him. You get a commander. I don't know if he's a leader. If he's a captain, sure, maybe he is a leader. But something he said he doesn't particularly enjoy, which was a bit concerning. But yeah, I think he's a kick it and edit type who we have Baptiste, who's a kid and looks like a kid when he played against Bolton. Sure, he won his headers, but he's still got that slender figure. You're still playing Rafferty back there due to injuries, and he's not the tallest of men. So having anyone in there who can head it and be commanding in the air is essential at this level, because Jules just can't hack it for some reason. His figure doesn't really maintain its it's just deceptive basically. He's not as strong in the air or commanding as you would have thought. So we definitely needed someone of his ilk back there, and let's just hope he can sort of rehash his career. He's only 25, so it's not like he's in his twilight years. He's more or less getting into his prime. So give him some time, give him some games. He won't be the perfect defender in his first game, obviously. But yeah, I'd give him more of a chance. And with Raggett out for probably the season, if we're being honest, that we need someone of his ilk in the team. So yeah, but I mean, I'd have personally gone out to look at other free agents, if I'm being honest, because I think with Raggett injured now, I think you're centre back down the entire season, and that's not to say that he's not going to come back. I just don't think he's going to come back nearly as what you think he's going to come back as, nor as a player who is going to ever get back up to speed again. Because that's all you hear about Raggett, is he's either injured or getting up to speed. He's never fit and firing, is he? So it's unfortunate for him, but we need a full-time replacement for him.
Yeah. Hopefully, well, when Lenny's back, you then got 4 specialised centre halves plus Raggett plus Rafferty. Sorry,
I'd go and pick up that Oxford let go of that Elliot Moore. I'd go pick him up in a heartbeat. He's good age, 27, 28, commanding in the air. They're captain for 4 years. Sent him up. I'd pay whatever wage you wanted and got him in. I think he'd be an answer to a lot of problems that we're struggling with back there.
I thought he was the one when he got released. I thought he was the one that was coming in. To be fair,
I thought, I was hopeful it was.
Matt, I'm sure did poo any free transfers today. Obviously, that might change when Jules tears his hamstring on Saturday. That might change.
Yeah.
Are you in general happy with the transfer business they'll make? I think it was 12 in total. Adding context to it, where Matt Amshaw says we've lowered the budget, and adding more context with Matt Amshaw didn't say, is bear in mind the number of players that take up such a large percentage of the wage budget. Are you happy with the business in general?
Have we got a low budget? I didn't realise that. Nobody's mentioned it. Am I happy with it? Yeah, 100%. I'm happy with it. We've recruited. I had 12 players that we've recruited at an average age of about 14 and a half, I think. And we talked about this. We talked about this pre deadline day. Usually, almost always, when you bring in that number of players, after 3 or 4 weeks, you've had a good look at them all, or at most of them anyway. We've had a good look at them all, I think.
I think so.
With the exception of Spence, and obviously Benson, who's injured, obviously. And I can't think of one where I'm thinking, nah, not sure about him, not sure about the other. I think they've all got a lot to offer, but they've all got a lot to learn as well, and a lot of development to be had. Some of these players that we brought in, though, could potentially make us some money in the future, assuming that we do our jobs right contract-wise. So I am very, very happy with the players that he's brought in, but it is going to take some time for them to gel as a team. Also, arguably more time, given the inexperience that they've got. But yeah, I'm very happy with it personally. Really happy. I can sit and watch. We've had 3 years of dross.
Yeah.
Okay. Just about. And I wouldn't describe this season as dross yet. It's not a lot better at times, but there is a reason for it. There are spells, and you can see what the plan is. Last season, it was just dross. No plan, no future, no nothing. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel, but I think we've still got some more tough watches to go through before things start to pick up. But overall, I'm really happy with it. Yeah, really, really happy with it.
I was just going to come in and say that it's one of those strange times in a very impatient world. We need to have patience with this team.
Yeah, good luck with that.
It's very unreasonable to be that, though. Yeah. Well, if Sam's right, Sam's saying we're the 17th lowest budget in League One. I think our lowest bidding is going to start catching up with us. I think if we've got the 17th lowest budget in the league, I think we've had a hell of a good summer because every player we've signed has got something there. When you normally get lower down the table in terms of budget, you don't have to make do. I don't feel like many of these are make do. We've obviously took some chances, haven't we, with some young players and some people with injuries, which, for example, Benson hasn't paid off with the injuries yet. But makes it even more positive. I think the caliber we seem to have brought in.
I think it's a really good point, that, Matt, because a lot of the players that we signed last season will make do. You know, he'll fit in here and he'll fit in there, and he might play this position and he can play other position. And whilst the players that we brought in, for example, Martha, are able to play different positions, that's not what they've brought them in for. Whereas previously, that's why we brought them in. And it's a subtle difference, but it's a difference. So there's some really, really, really exciting players in there. The manager now the window's shut, is now going to, his work starts. Well, it started before, but it really starts here and now. You know, get this squad into a viable team, and I'm confident that he will. Where I get that confidence from is arguably misplaced. I don't know, but I'm sure he will.
We've gone back to being a happy podcast.
Yeah. Mick, was it you that said? And I've not been on for ages, so I've just been watching. And did you say something about the players that we signed last season were players that were bought for that season, and now that it's 2 seasons on, you kind of get in the consequence of buying those players? And I think you're absolutely whoever said that is absolutely spot on, because I think you can clearly see now that there was a plan, and it was to get promoted immediately by bringing in these older players who just had 1 season left of them. And I think if we would have got, if it all would have clicked together, those players maybe would have sent us up because of the quality of the league last season. That's obviously not happened, and now you're stuck with players who are on a big wage and not good enough for the league, and not because their quality isn't good enough, but because their legs have gone, they're injured all the time. Maybe the quality isn't there, but it's a different league now, and I think we're suffering from the repercussions of buying players for that season and that season only. And I think that's pretty spot on. And I think that, this is going to be a disappointing season for a lot of fans if they're expecting, because, we obviously expect a lot. We expect to go up. If any Rotherham fan says they wouldn't like to go up, they're just lying. So everyone expects inherently to go up. So as soon as that doesn't happen and we finish mid-table, hell, even 20th or 19th or whatever, it's going to be a disappointing season. But hopefully these players that we're signing on 3-year deals, if we sign more players next season on 3-year deals, you've got a team together that are suited for the style and suited for the league, and you can really benefit from that, and hopefully you sell assets as well, and it all goes well. But I think this season's going to be another one of heartbreak as well, which is why when we lose, I'm not as upset as some people are.
Yeah, I will come on to that.
Well, you should be.
It should be. You should
well,
cry.
I am upset. I'm disappointed and I'm upset and I'm frustrated. I mean, immediately on the group chat afterwards, I'm frustrated.
You need to take to social media and vent your spleen on the whole world.
Throw a few virtual chairs. That's what you need to do.
It's not good enough just to sit at home and be mildly disappointed.
True.
Can I just say also, we're 24 minutes into this podcast now, and nobody's mentioned Richard Wood yet, and I'm hugely disappointed in that. I've missed a couple of podcasts, and I've done a little bit of internet. I've been on internet. I don't know whether you've seen it. You can get it on your phone and everything, and it's all sorts. And apparently we don't mention Richard Wood enough. So I think 24 minutes in, I think we should be. Let's just have a little 2-minute break talking about Woody, if you don't mind.
I can.
Go for it.
What?
That was passive aggressive.
I don't know what you mean.
Anyway,
yeah.
Back on what Tom was saying. I was on Gab Sutton's show earlier, and he kind of asked about this, and I said this season is basically just to get through it season because of these Hugo, Kelly, Raggett, if you want to add Dawson there. Because they're taking up so much wages, we need to get through the season so Matt Hampshire can start have his actually own squad. Because how many of those players, how many of Evans's players would Matt Hampshire have actually signed? None. Maybe McWilliams. I'm not even convinced Hampshire would have bought Joe Powell, to be honest with you. I just don't think he's his kind of what I think Matt Hampshire wants to be. So I think it's a matter of getting through this season, and hopefully it doesn't end too badly. Non-based, but that was a Matt Taylor signing. Was it?
Yeah, you've also got to deal with the hand that you've been dealt, and maybe I see a lot about people frustrated that we're not changing the formation, and that's why I mentioned the 4-back before. People aren't, I think it's fair that he's trying to stick it out with the formation, and I think it's valid that he's trying to just push on with it, that the players that he has. But concurrently, we've got such a piled up injury list that when we only had one centre half available, it would have, it felt a bit. It did feel a bit nonsensical to keep with the 3 at the back, and I can agree and see why people are frustrated that we're not changing system. But at the simultaneously, I can see why we're kind of struggling wanting to change the system, because if that's what you need, then that's what you need, and that's what you think is going to get you promoted, then that's what you think is going to get you promoted. But I think the sign of a good manager is changing things when it's not going your way, and improving things when it's not going your way. And I was a big advocate for calling Evans an idiot last season, because an idiot doesn't, keeps doing things even when it's going wrong. And it's verging on the point where Hampshire's system is going wrong, and he's not tweaking it, and he's not changing it, and he's just swapping personnel and hoping it improves. And it's got to get to a point where if it doesn't improve, you've got to ask questions about if he can change it, why hasn't he changed it? And if he does change it, and if it does work, then he's held it as a mastermind. So I'm not getting on his back or anything. I'm just saying it comes to a time when certain personnel at your disposal have to be used in the best way possible, which is maybe a 4-back, maybe a 3-back, maybe 7-back. I don't know, but yeah, who knows?
I tell you, the problem with switching is, so obviously the only switch you can do is a 4 at the back. Who has been our best player this season, our most consistent form this season? It's been Denzel Hall. It's comfortably been Denzel Hall by an absolute mile. And he is an out-and-out wing-back. If you play him at full-back, an actual full-back, you completely lose any attacking sense. And if you play him as a winger, he ain't a winger, so you then lose defensively there. You could add Kletter in there if you wanted to as well, because I think Kletter's been very, very good as well at left wing-back. So if those are your 2 essentially best players you have at the minute, you need to find a way to continue to get the best out of those. And you kind of make do, because we've got. I know James is not a great centre back, but he can do a job. Zach Jules will get better. I'm certain he'll get better. And then you got Baptiste to come in, and Holmes to come in, and Lenny to come in when he comes in. I think at the minute you've got your best player. Just keep. But again, add Kletter in there for your best 2 players. Just keep on with those 2, because I think everything else. I think it'll click anyway, but I think you've got to use those best 2 players as they are at the minute.
No, that's fair.
Just to play devil's advocate between the 2 of you, I think there's a very fine line between kicking a dead horse and persisting with the formation so that the entire squad knows what we're doing. Just to bounce off Nathan's comment, we can't blame the formation when the personnel he wants to play are on the treatment table. Yeah, exactly. I'd say Hampshire hasn't played the back 3 that he wants to play all season, because either someone's been out or they've been injured, then someone else has come back and then they've got injured again. So I can see why he persists with it, but at the same time, like we saw in the Bolton game, we saw it wasn't working and we switched to the 4, and arguably we were a little bit better in the second half. And why Richard Wood got pelters on Twitter about the defensive setup and everything, it's like he's not the defensive coach. He's just a first-team coach. He has the entire pitch to look at him. All right, he's defensive orientated, but still. So it's a bit. I think Hampshire knows where the line is. As soon as he knows it's not going to work, he will switch it, like we saw in the Bolton game. But as soon as he gets the players he wants for the formation, like Lenny, now he's got Holmes, Jules, when he eventually finds his form, he can actually assemble a solid back 3 and then potentially play Agbear and Hall, or bring Martha in as well, and actually push on with it. It's just we've not got to that point yet, and it's really frustrating. But with injuries, it's not in the fans' hands in terms of supporting the team in the stadiums. We can't change the injuries by doing that. And it's also out of Hamshaw's hands, because if he could strap them up and send them out with one leg and half an arm, he could do. But he doesn't have that power. So it's just persisting for the sake of getting the team clued up on what they're doing, rather than just going, I'm going to do this. This is the only way I know how to play.
Yeah. We'll talk more about this in a minute, because it's all we've got to talk about, really. But Harry says, happy Clapper podcast, saying he just wants to see it out to the end of the season, not go up. Where's the same expectation with the previous manager? Yeah.
Mick, do you want to jump in on this one, or shall I have this one?
Harry knows what he's doing. Harry knows exactly what he's doing.
I made a new season resolution, and I've stuck to it so far. We're into September now, which is on a slightly different note. We're into September. We haven't played a game in September yet, and some of the nonsense that people are spouting about the manager, about the team, about players makes I genuinely don't understand. It's the 4th of September now as we speak, and we haven't played a football match in September, and we're talking about sacking manager, and we're talking about this is crap and that's crap and this is never going to work. What has any of these people actually seen football before? Do they understand that? I don't know. Bizarre, isn't it? It's bizarre. He will get it right, but it's going to take some time. And the fact that half of the squad again are on the injury table in the physio's room is never going to help him. So yeah, look, have a bit of patience. And if we get to if I'm sat here in 3 months' time saying it's December, it's 4th of December today, and we still haven't won a game, then it might be a different story altogether. You know what I mean? But let's all calm down. Have a minute.
Yeah, I agree.
Take a dark room and have a minute.
Mick says, with you, Mick, I rely on you guys for my dose of positivity. I feel like I'm glad we're getting back on. It's been a tough year for last year. I feel like as a group, although the football's rough, I think we're getting back onto a positive side of things. I just recommend staying away from Twitter, especially after we've lost.
You're just too positive.
I am. Yeah. Right. Let's move on to kind of Saturday, Danny, with a mixture of injury news. We knew about Sean Raggett. Sherif is out injured for around 4 weeks. So obviously around a month. There's probably 2 months left of Nombe not being available. So that's fun. But Ian Spence should be in the matchday squad, and JJ should be in the matchday squad. And there's a chance of Josh Benson being in the matchday squad. Although reading between the lines, I think that's more likely for the year after.
Yeah.
But leaves us with the 2 strikers of Jordan Hugill and Kian Tete, which means we're going to have to try something a little bit different.
Yeah, we're going to have to try really concentrating on getting balls into the box because they're the sort of players that thrive off of that. And we haven't, compared to the Donny game, we didn't really do it much, but then we've not really been able to utilise wing backs as properly as we could until Coletta came on in the second half, and then I think we actually had a wing back we could properly use. But then we've never really had a chance to have a proper back three because Hall was there and not really being a wing back, etc. But with the new signings, we may be able to field a proper back three of centre halves. Maybe Rafferty on the right hand side so Hall can play further up the pitch. But anyway, so we might be able to actually get balls into the box for Tete and Hugill. So it's not the worst thing in the world. I think the main thing is Hugill's form at the minute. Because I don't think we'd hit a bullseye with a banjo currently.
I think it's nearly a year since he scored.
Yeah, so, and obviously he does have to break that duck at some point. Will it come against Exeter? I don't know. It would be nice if that was to happen. It'd be nice if we had some balls into the box to thrive off. So we'll have to see. We definitely know that we will be playing the 3-5-2, but I think the wing backs will be more advanced in this one because we've got a proper set defence. I'm not sure whether Holmes will come straight into it, if I'm being honest. I don't know if the week's worth of training is enough. Maybe. Maybe it's needs must. I'm not sure, but I think this is going to come back to bite me. I think we might actually see a good game against Exeter, or as good as a game as we can. But it'll be better than Doncaster game. We'll put it that way.
Quite a low bar.
Yeah, I know, but it'll be better. We might see a bit of progression, and I'm definitely jinxing this by saying it. We haven't lost at home under Matt Hampshire yet.
Haven't. No, it's 5 or 6 games unbeaten so far. Good. Paul Rhodes says, well said, Mick. Big question, who's going to be on the calendar for next year?
Well, we'll have to wait and see on that one, won't we?
Brilliant.
Yeah. On the lack of strikers, Tom, Nathan Clark mentioned this, and it was something Matt Hampshire mentioned. I think the problem is top end of the pitch, while Nombe and Sherif are out, wouldn't mind seeing returning Spence and Benson players 2 10s behind a Tete. And I'll be honest, you've got to do that. You can't play Hugo and Tete together. I just don't think you can. It's Johnson, Clark, Harris, and Hugo again, although Tete is better, obviously. I think playing Gore and Powell behind him and doing something else with your other 2 midfielders, I think that's got to be worth a go at least.
Yeah, it is, but then you're overloading them. I agree. I think it works better. We don't have anyone mobile up there, and we won't. You know, JJ's coming back. Maybe he's on the bench, but still don't give you that mobility that Nombe gives you. And I think that's what we've lacked. We've lacked a bit of mobility. You know, Tete can shift, sure, but he can't. You know, he's not got anywhere near lightning pace to, you know, threaten defenders. And like it doesn't matter really, but a lot of Prem teams play with that 2 in behind the striker. You know, Amarin started doing it at United. Crystal Palace do it to great effect. You know, there are cases to be made that is a really effective formation, but they are effective formations if you have, you know, weeks and months to train with it, to plan with it, to be meticulous with it. For me, Powell and Gore are 2 players not in good form, and 2 players that need a lot of confidence to perform at the best of their abilities, because they are so industrious and so willing to get involved constantly that it's tough for them to actually get involved. And I know that sounds kind of redundant, but the fact that they're trying to be busy around the pitch and trying to be really, you know, involved in the play, I feel like a lot of the time they overplay, they overcompensate, they basically just overplay. And for me, they just need to be a bit more, they need to get the simple stuff right again, and then their quality will show, which is why I think I can see him going to a 4-back. And I'm not preaching it because I want him to. I'm preaching it because with the personnel that we have, i.e. strikers and centre-halves, I think you might you might be better off like that. But I don't know. I can see it working with Powell and Gore behind the striker, but I can also see them being too far away from a Tete for it to actually work, because as I said, they're industrious and wanting to get involved. They're going to want to pick up the ball in deeper areas. They want to you know, track back and work back. It can be it can go badly, and I think there was a main point against Bolton in that first half where you could have done the stereotypical throwing a blanket over the midfield 4 because they were just close. Like there was no space out wide between them. There was just all in the same area. So yeah, there's a lot to tinker with. But who knows? I'd have gone with a back 4 and with wide men, Coletta one side, Powell the other side, and seeing how it works, because I think that would be a bit more natural than trying to get Powell and Gore to play a completely different role behind the striker. But I'm not a tactical genius, and they're both going to play there, and they're both going to get a goal and an assist each, because that's usually what happens when we try and predict stuff.
It is, that's fair. Nathan Clark said Spence and Benson because they're quite to sit the ball in the net. Powell, as much as I like him, he's getting the ball in the wrong areas to hurt teams. I completely agree. If Spence and Benson are fit, or certainly Benson, I'd like to see more of Spence, but certainly Benson is in that role definitely over Powell. Let's go through some of the comments. Sam thinks we should be going to 4-3-3. Ray Spencer says Coletta up top with a Tete. He's a right wing back. I don't think we're that desperate just yet, but we'll see. Maybe we'll see what that's going to happen. Scott Kent says, I'd like to know where our midfield's gone since the Cardiff game. It's been absolutely non-existent, and non-existent. The space in there is absolutely massive every single game, mate. Yeah, midfield's completely gone, and that is weird because that first game at Port Vale, again up until the red card, the midfield was the strength. It wasn't necessarily that we were attacking massively in the wide areas, but that midfield looked really, really, really good. And again, Spence may solve a lot of these problems in a week's time, but he's not going to start on Saturday, so he doesn't really solve Saturday's problem. But that midfield is that's why we're losing the game. It's why we're losing the games at the minute, because that's where your goals come from. You come from midfielders, and Powell's underperforming as well, which we'll come on to in a minute. But the midfield is the problem in a minute.
It's a big part of the problem. It's a big part of the problem. Not necessarily the fact that they're not there, but the fact that they're not moving. We've seen this game after game now where we've got the ball and there are no options. There are no options to go forward. You know, there's nobody coming to show for the ball. There's no movement off the ball from virtually any of the midfielders, and as a consequence, we end up giving it away cheaply. So, yeah, it is a big issue, and I don't know what the answer is. I genuinely don't. You've got players in there that are underperforming, like you said. Powell's underperforming. Dan Gore's underperforming. Kelly is all over the place. He's not sitting in front of that back four and holding the ball up as he should do, you know, or holding the ball and putting his foot on it and spraying the passes about. Yearwood doesn't seem to be able to get a starting berth. He seems to have the bits I've seen of him has been better than Kelly this season so far. McWilliams doesn't seem to be able to get a starting berth. Both those players are players that will really, really give you some bite in there, and they will give you some movement. It's an issue. It is an issue. We're just not keeping the ball, and the midfield is the reason why, or one of the main reasons why for me.
Yeah. Gabriel Hitchin in the comments says he's an Exeter fan and be surprised if we switch to a back four if we've been playing 3 all season. The reason he says is they played 2 9s on Saturday, which showed it can be extremely effective for them. Yeah. Let's have a Joe Powell.
Shall I come with the calendar up?
Yeah. No, he might get tears on it. And Andy says, can anyone understand why a gifted footballer like Joe Powell has poor set piece accuracy yet still chosen to be the main man? IFC Harsher goes, never known a Rotherham player with as much PR as Joe Powell. Overrated. We had a comment this week on Twitter saying that they'd stopped watching the podcast after we said that Joe Powell was one of the best and most creative players in the squad. Which made me laugh because statistically, he is one of the best players and he is the most creative player of the entire. Was he the most creative player in the league last year? Did he create most chances?
Yeah. Most chances, most big chances, second most assists. Statistically, he is, yeah.
Statistically, he is. But, Danny, as with all stats, you have to use the eye test. And over the last few games, there's no way of putting makeup on this. He has been poor. At best, he's been poor, particularly set pieces. And we know there's a player in there. We saw at times last year how good he can be and how good his set pieces can be. But I agree with Powell. Something's up with Powell. Something's changed, and I don't know what it is, but we need him to be better because he's so what he does is so important. We need it back, and that's one of the reasons why midfield's not working as well.
Oh no, I agree. I mean, I said post Donny that we need someone else on set pieces because he was atrocious, and that's not just in the Donny game. He's been atrocious on set pieces for a while, and I mean, IFC raises a good point. Maybe it's his new baby. Maybe not. Maybe not pissing him off. I didn't read the whole of that comment. Yeah, maybe not pissing him off, but maybe lack of sleep potentially. Well, jury's out on that one, but his head doesn't seem in the game, especially on set pieces when it's a dead ball situation. His head's just not there, and sometimes you need to step away from it and let someone else take up the mantle of set pieces, and then your head sort of gets readjusted and you get back into it. And maybe we have to do that. But then it raises the question as who's next man up? Who's going to put their arm up and go, I'll have set pieces, Gaffer. Do we have another creative player like last season with Powell that can actually do that? You know, maybe Dan Gore, but he's not. I don't know. I wouldn't say like next man up with it, but again, this could be one of Matt Amshaw's tests as a manager. If you've got your main performer not doing well on set pieces, do you stick or do you twist? Do you stick and hope he comes good, or do you twist, give him a rest, and see if someone else does better? And at the minute, I would say just give it someone else and see how they get on. If they're equally as poor, they can go back to Joe Powell. But if they're better, it might give Powell's head a bit of a readjustment and get back into it.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good. Powell wants the ball all the time, but he really needs to start trying to pick up the ball in between the lines. He's playing like Kelly at 2 yards further up the pitch. We need more from him, and that's what we saw last season, Tom. And last season, when he played well, he linked up very nicely with Reece James in open play. And we've had to chuck Reece James at centre half, and obviously we've chopped and changed Martha and Coletta. So I wonder if in open play, that's another area where he's getting used to 2 or 3 different partners in that area of the pitch, and he's just not got built up a relationship yet. Because he's just he's calling to something else, but in open play, he's just not having any impact at the minute.
No, absolutely, and again, I think the formation doesn't help him because Evans played that weird 4-1, like 4-4-2, but the 4 were all midfielders, and it gave Powell a lot of freedom and space on the left-hand side to whip balls in, and I think it gave him a lot more freedom. I think this formation, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't know where they're playing that midfield 3, because we do play midfield 3, but I don't know where. There's not like you're staying on the left, you're staying on the right, you're staying in the centre. It's almost like they're all playing everywhere, which I don't know if that's tactical or they just get a bit of head loss in the game and just follow their man or what. I don't know what happens, but again, it limits with a wing back. It limits Powell's ability to, get balls in from the into the box from not quite the wing, but just before it, where he put in a lot of dangerous balls, which is where his crossing ability is the best at. I think if you put him on a free kick there, I think it'll be a decent ball in, but any other situation, set piece on the pitch, and it's unfortunately not. We should try doing that rolling thing again, where you roll it to him and he whips it in. For some reason that worked. I'd go back to that. But anyway, I think it limits Powell because he's he's not the strongest of players, but he keeps the ball really well, and I think that in tight areas he does a bit too much for me, which is fine. Sometimes it works and it comes off and it's great, but other times, it's too compact for him, and any player would struggle in that sort of situation, which I think is what's happening with Gore as well. He's really struggling in those really tight areas because, we're not giving the ball in good areas. So I don't know what you do to change it. Maybe you put him out at left wing back. Sorry, Powell, or you just give him a bit more freedom in that midfield, and you play him. Where Gore's been playing, I guess, behind the strikers, but with a bit more freedom to get it out wide and get balls into the box with 2 hard runners behind him. I think that might work. But yeah, it's again something with Powell is not quite right. I've never seen a player lose the ball as many times in games at the start of the season than him, and it's not because he's trying stuff. It's because he's really quite lethargic on the ball at the moment and trying too much. I just think he needs to, go back to his simple play, but crossing ability. And also, I found it funny that Danny, you mentioned Gore immediately after and saying that his set pieces were better, but maybe his kids annoying him as well. So
yeah,
kids are annoying. To be fair, they do that. Yeah, I throw the Dango issue in there, Mick, because I think the best we saw of Joe Powell last season when he was as far forward as possible, whilst obviously still being midfielder. When you play Dango's position seems to be as far forward as possible, as almost a third striker at times, Dango, which I think is too high. But then how do you solve that problem? Because obviously when you have someone like Dango on loan, there'll be instructions from Man U to play in a certain position, I would have thought. So then that causes you a problem. Even if you then drop Dango, which again causes another problem, or do you drop Joe Powell or whatever? This is one of the problems. One of the few problem areas, isn't it?
Please don't take this the wrong way. If Man U are sending players saying he's got to play in this position, it goes back. He plays where we play him. You know what I mean? If he's with us, he can come to us and then that's not a dig at Dango in any way. Please don't think it is. And I'm not convinced that's even happened. You know what I mean? But I agree with you in the sense that I think Powell is more effective further forward. He's out of touch at the moment. His set pieces are pretty poor. Rarely beats the first man from a corner. Rarely. So So I don't know whether it's just a form thing or whether he's playing out of position. I don't know. I just don't know what's happening in that midfield. There seems to be no real clear instruction for me. You've got Liam Kelly leading the press at times. Your defensive holding midfield player is leading the press, and I've seen that three or four different games. So there's obviously some instructions there as to where players are playing, whether it's just fluid, you all cover for each other. I don't know what it is, but it's not working. It's not working because we're not maintaining possession of the ball in that midfield area. And when we have got possession of the ball at the back, the midfield are not helping the defenders. When we're holding the ball up at the front, they're not helping the strikers because the movement's not there. So is how it appears to me. So Joe Powell, I think he's out of touch. Dan Gore, I think he's out of touch. Now, whether or not that is because of what they're being asked to do and they don't understand it, or whether they are just simply out of touch, I don't know. That time will tell, won't it?
Yeah, we'll see. Tom Smith, we'll touch on this probably for predictions, but Tom Smith doesn't take a rocket science to see this formation isn't working and not suiting the players, Danny. Yeah, maybe. That may well be the case. But we had this chat on the group chat a few days ago, didn't we, about this formation, that if Matt Hamshaw thinks this is what he wants his team to play like, you have to stick to it. You can't just say after 5 games, well, I really, really wanted this. I spent all pre-season training like this, but it's not worked after 5 games, so I'm just going to change it. You have to have a degree of flexibility, but at the same time, you have to stick to your beliefs, if that makes sense. Or do you disagree?
No, I agree. I don't think you can make a strong good judgment after 5 league games. And I suppose with cup games, as we've seen, we're not being bothered sounds like the wrong way of wording it, but you know what I mean? We're more focused on league football this season. And I would say judgment has to come after 15 games. If we've not seen any improvement in players adapting to this system after 15 games, then I'd argue, yes, it's definitely time to change it. We have to try something new and try and suit the players. But all 12 signings Matt Hamshaw has signed, which is more than a first team 11, have been signed to play in a 3-5-2 system, whether it's a defensive or an attacking 3-5-2. Depends on the situation, but he has signed these players to play in that system, and I'd argue the players that aren't as adaptive to this system were signed under previous managers. I'd say the one player that's done well in a 3-5-2 is Nombe, and he's been injured since the third game of the season. The other players like Raggett, Kelly, Hugill, who else? McWilliams potentially, Powell. They haven't adapted because they were signed to play a different system, and that's going to take longer than a pre-season and 7 competitive games overall to adapt to. People can't adapt to those things overnight. You have to be trained in the new system, and it has to click in your head on how to play in that system, and then you have to work as a team to also implement that system, which takes the best part of 2 months if you're quick, potentially. And that includes pre-season as well, the new training system. So, again, like Mick said earlier, patience. We have to have patience with it. But like I said earlier, there is a fine line between kicking a dead horse and persisting so the team gets it. And I'd say if there's no improvement after 15 games, then you're leaning more towards kicking the dead horse and we have to change something. But then again, I don't think it's a radical change. It could be as simple as switching to a 4 at the back and playing your wing-backs as more winger-orientated, but with the ability to drop into a defensive system as and when we have to. But time will tell with that. But as much as the performances have been poor and been frustrating, there have been sparks here and there, I'm willing to put in the patience because I can see when we're good, we are good. It's just at the minute, it's not as good as probably a lot of fans expected us to be. And this is coming from
a good season, really, though.
Well, this is the thing. I think we expected fresh manager, new system, right, we're going to attack this league and we're going to be really good. But even the manager tempered expectations before a competitive ball was kicked. So that's why my prediction is floating around mid-table. I'd be happy with that. I'll hold my hands up and say that. But again, you have to have patience with it. Will we come good? I'm leaning to more towards yes than no. But again, you have to have patience with it. And the current age we live in, no one seems to have any patience anymore. This is not a one-season system. I'd argue last season was a one-season system to get us promoted, and then we change again. But I'm sure's got the next 3, maybe 4 seasons in mind with this system. And that's going to take a lot of patience and a lot of really horrible performances, worse than the Donny performance, which was actually, in hindsight, not as bad as we thought it was, from what I've been told by a few people at work. So just stick with it. Stick with it until after 15 games. And if we're still getting absolutely hammered by teams that we know we should be beating, then yeah, I'd say change the system. But as for right now, keep at it, get the squad up to speed with it, and keep training and keep at it.
Shall I tell you who has got patience, Danny?
Go on.
You know the answer to this. Richard Wood. He's got patience.
I agree.
He's a very patient man.
I agree. Well, you have to be patient to be at Rotherham for 9 years. That's very
Well, it's half an hour since we mentioned it.
Could I play devil's advocate to that point and just say I agree with what you said there, Danny. I think you do need to have an X amount of games for it to kick in, but for injuries and what we're going through at the minute, we've won 1 in 5. Like, that's not a good record, for any manager or any team. Like, would you not just change it for 1 game, and then if it's still the same crap, you go back? I just think with the injuries that we have, and I'll highlight that game that we had a back 3 of James, Jules, and Rafferty. Like, part of me just thinks that for 1 game, you're not really destroying what you've created in pre-season and what you're trying to build. You're just adapting, and I think that adapting is better than kind of suffering and as you say, beating a dead horse.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with that. I think when the needs must, we should adapt to a back 4.
Well, we have done that, though, to be fair. We
exactly.
changed mid-game against somebody, didn't we? With Cardiff.
Yeah. But again, in that back 3 you've just named, Tom, Jules is the only out-and-out centre-half. And in that situation, you would have had to have brought Rafferty in as a makeshift central defender and brought someone in as a right-back. But I would say Rafferty, even if we have to play him the right side of a back 3, he's still on that right side and sort of can command that side of the pitch if the wing back is a bit too more advanced or hasn't got back in time. I know Rafferty's a bit susceptible to being old-manned and beating on the ball. But if we have the capability to play 2 central defenders and we're under the cosh, then yes, no, I agree, we should have a back 4. But again, needs must. If we have the capability, yes. If not, then again, stick with the back 3 because we have to.
We're not going to carry on talking about formations, are we? I know you lads love it. I know you youngsters do enjoy a 5-3-1-2-4-4-2-3.
Manager Mick, it's corrupted.
In wing backs or whatever the nonsense you talk about, but let him get on with his job.
Yeah, that's the.
Let him get on with his job.
The underlying
season.
I reckon it's Richard Wood that picks the formations. Mate.
Yeah,
Richard Wood.
I think Woody will know. He'll know. Don't worry.
Yeah, just on Andy's point, which I think is good on changing sense mixed signals. You've got to not lay down the law, but if you can't be seen to be questioning yourself in front of players 5 games in, because it then mentally puts a question mark over yourself, really. So yeah, but anyway, Tom said, Nick says, so breaking news for any other business. Terry have launched a new chocolate orange of salted caramel with the orange. Now, Mick, that's a game changer. I have had this, Mick. I've got some in the cupboard, actually. It's fine.
Well, I've missed Terry's chocolate orange talk.
yeah.
I'm not buying that it's going to be as good as chocolate orange egg. I just can't see it. I cannot see it. I'll try it. I'll get a go.
It goes into the category of okay for me.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Toblerone, Mick? I don't think you'll like the new Toblerone. It's fruit and nut.
No, that's just wrong.
I'd argue fruit and nut doesn't belong in a cereal. Never mind a chocolate bar.
Anybody who puts fruit in the chocolate's a psychopath. That is not right. It's not the right thing to do.
I love a chocolate raisin. It's really nice.
Well, there you go. I rest my case.
That's a great insult to have on Twitter for that. You put fruit in your chocolate.
Yeah. Right.
Ref what?
Ref watch, yeah. Martin
Paul
Woods.
says ref watch.
Yes, Paul. By the way, I saw. Did anybody see Paul on telly on Tuesday?
Yes.
By the way,
Yes, I saw it on telly. Yeah, you're on telly, Paul. Well done.
Yeah. One of the few Millers there. She was having a terrible time, didn't she?
Yeah.
But yeah, ref watch Paul. Martin Woods is the referee, not the former Rotherham player. This is the referee who refereed us when we beat Lincoln at home last season. With Sean Raggett actually scored in that game, believe it or not.
Mm.
How am I the nail on the head? Is it Richard Wood's brother?
Well, no, because this is Martin Woods.
Well, but the two of them, weren't they? It's
Okay.
plural, isn't it? That's all it is.
Can we end the podcast there, like forever?
We're all in good moods tonight, even though we're rubbish at it. No, it's interesting. Right, score predictions. Score predictions. I got Mick's wife to predict for me this week because I forgot at the last minute, and Mick's wife was with Mick. So Mick's wife has predicted for me 2-1 to Rotherham United. So
She stitched me up, hasn't she?
yeah, well, she's still your prediction.
I knew she would. As soon as you asked her, so.
So Mick, what would you like to go for?
Well, I can't go for that score, can I? I'm going to go 3-1 Rotherham. I'm going to be positive. Sooner or later, it's going to happen.
Okay.
I don't know why I think it's this weekend. I've no idea, but there you
go. Danny.
You knew it was coming, Danny. Come on.
I did. Oh, Christ. 3-2. Sorry.
3-2 to us?
Yeah.
Tom?
I'm going to go 2-1. We're at home, and I feel it. I feel it brewing.
Yeah. So, we'll go through some other ones. For Adam Firth says 1-0 loss. Tom Swift says 2-0 loss. Steve Grundy says 2-0 to us. Scott Kent says 3-1. Chris Bright, Power Mad, Harry also 3-1. Also 1-1. Paula Rose going 2-2. YouTube user says 2-1. Darren Cook says 2-0 loss, fear for the worst. Chris Taylor says 2-0, fear what happens if Exeter score first. IFC says 5-0, we're winning the lot. HMS pissed the league, winning the FA Cup, Pizza Cup, etc. Yeah, like it. Steve's 1-1 as well. Max Miller says, hope the podcast will return on Sunday. Yes, back to normal scheduling from Sunday. We just do the deadline day special on Monday. So there we go. Anything else, fellas?
I have a thing.
Okay.
Yep, so I know Rotherham United men's season is already up and running, but the women kick off their season on Sunday, 2:00 at Roundwood against Gainsborough Trinity. So if you need a football fix or generally want to see a Rotherham side actually play well together, go to Roundwood for 2:00 on Sunday. Women finished third last season, and they'll be hoping to get that promotion spot, but the manager has said it will be quite difficult because he's not seen a team get promoted out of that division with more than one loss all season, and I think Rotherham had 5 last season, I think. So yeah, if you're about, pop over to Roundwood for 2:00 kickoff. You can actually drink in the stands at Roundwood, so that's even better. And yeah, support the ladies.
Absolutely. I see their season tickets are like 25 quid or something. I know they only have like 10 games, but still.
Yeah, no, they're about 25, 30 quid. They're not a lot of money, trust me.
Still pretty good. Nick Newsom says, red button. So Saturday afternoon, if you can't go to the game for any reason, it is on red button. You can legally watch it in England on Saturday. Harry says, anybody know when Ajani is playing? Yeah, he's playing on Saturday at 1:00 in the morning. They're away at Trinidad and Tobago.
That's a tough.
What's the name of the country that he plays for? Because I don't know how to pronounce that.
Karaku.
It's
I'm
Curacao.
looking at you, Mick, on this one.
Don't look at me, mate.
Okay.
Don't look at me. I don't know how to pronounce it. I genuinely don't know.
I don't.
I didn't even know it was a country, and I'd not heard of it before. So
No, I don't. Should we finish on how to pronounce it?
Well, finish on doing a Wikipedia. Where is it? I assume it is it in the West Indies, Bahamas?
It's just north of Venezuela. if that helps you.
Yeah, so it's Curacao and it's in the middle. It's kind of, there you go, Curacao in the Caribbean.
I have heard of it. Now you've said it like that.
Yeah, I've heard the name. I've just not seen it written down before.
It's got one of those. The reason it's got one of those upside down question marks underneath the A, I think, or something like that. I'm sure it's
not a question mark. No,
I know it's not, but it looks like
under
one.
the
Right,
and there's like an accent under it. Yeah. Nick Newsom comes to the rescue saying it's in the East Indies.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
So if you're up at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure you can find Johnny Martha playing somewhere. They also play on, which is not ideal to be honest. So they play on Wednesday at 1 o'clock in the morning our time, which means he's not going to be back in England until the earliest Thursday, is it? Which then puts him in doubt for the following Saturday game. Anyway,
money, so
just some, yeah.
That way.
Any other business?
I think so.
All good.
No worries. Do we want to give Ben a mention, Mick? Do you want to give Ben a mention because he's playing tonight? If anybody's up at midnight tonight,
yeah. If you're up at 1 a.m.
Never mind.
Yeah, his team play tonight. They're playing Mexico City tonight at 1 a.m. First game of the season. So don't know how that's going to go. We'll have to wait and see. So if you're up YouTube, it's Barregas, P-U-E is the team. It's Puebla Barregos. I don't know. Just
good plug.
Google what the word bull is in Mexican or Spanish.
Is that what it means?
Yeah, and that's what it is. So yeah, they play away in Mexico City at 1 a.m.
Fair enough.
Do you say what bull is in Spanish?
Yeah,
Toro.
Barregos.
Bull in Spanish is toro.
Right, it's not that then.
It's going down.
Oh,
The most
That'll
serious
tweet it out later.
podcast there is out there. You won't find a more serious podcast than this about Rotherham United. I guarantee you that.
It might be a baby bull in Spanish. I don't know. Might be a goat. It looks like a goat, to be fair.
Oh, so you're just going off the bat?
Is it a ram?
Don't know. It's Barregos. I thought it was bull, but there you go.
Anyway, thank you all for watching.
If anyone speaks Spanish better than Mick, please let us know what Barregos means.
If anybody speaks Spanish better than Mick,
Yeah.
Let's end.
there's people who've literally just been born this second who speak Spanish better than
Thank you all for watching. It's been an interesting episode. There's been some serious conversation in there. There's been talk of a Spanish bull as well, as you just heard. So if that's your thing, make sure you've given the video a thumbs up on YouTube. If you're watching next, follow on there. Please do go over to YouTube and subscribe. So tomorrow morning you will hear from Brad, an Exeter fan, who has given us a rundown on an okay start from Exeter. They beat poor old Peterborough last week, who sit rock bottom, which is not funny at all, everybody. Do not laugh. That's out tomorrow. And then the instant reaction will be out Saturday evening with me and Mick and maybe some other people I don't know yet on that. And then Sunday we will be back as well for the full review show of Exeter City. If you listen to iTunes or Spotify, make sure you follow, subscribe, 5-star rating, whatever it wants you to do, allows you to, please do so on there. And we will see everybody next time. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Danny. Thank you all for watching. See you all next time. And as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
Comes for more. 2 for Jensen, 2 for Rotherham. Shoots. Ravel. Ambitious, but brilliant. The sweetest feeling for Rotherham United.
What's got round the back? And Richard Wood has done it again. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.
Do me a favor, drop me off in Rotherham.